all the farmer action that's been going on this last week.
A lot of action.
The TV star, well, he's explaining why he's joined the tractor tax protests, and he's been sort of tackling the government on their new inheritance tax rules. What do you make of the situation at the moment?
Well, it's a very tricky one. I mean, my family, a lot of them are farmers, were farmers, and I grew up around farms, so I know all, and I can say, you know, and I know people will have heard this before, they do work long hours, they do not make much money, but they just want to give fresh veg, meat to the local community. They want it to be British farming, and I think the tractor tax is just adding on top of that to they're already going to tax all the other assets people own on farms, including machinery, which is all the things. So I think it's going to have a knock-on effect. Now, all that's going to happen is, as they say, the smaller farms are going to close, and then we're just going to have all our meat, fruit and veg from abroad. I mean, is that really what we want to have as British values? So I understand why he's sticking up for the tractor tax and the inherited tax, because it's going to be what people say is, oh, well, they've got the money, you know, it's OK if they've got loads of land. But actually, it's not, they're scraping by. And I think that's what people don't grasp.
Dr. Ehsan, what do you make of this?
Well, I think that what it really shows is there's a great deal of economic illiteracy within the Labour government. And I think many people haven't really grasped that, while many of these sort of family-based farms are asset-rich, actually quite a lot of them are quite cash poor, and many are in relatively deprived rural communities. I think that people who are quite rooted in cosmopolitan city-based life, they have very romanticised views of rural life. They think that there's bundles of wealth there. That's not necessarily the case at all. I think that in terms of looking at the agricultural sector, the importance of it, I think it's highly important from a strategic perspective in terms of our national food security. And I also think there's something to be said about how these small family farms, they're sound custodians in terms of looking after the countryside as well. So I don't want to see a lot of these farms then being sold to private corporations who might not have the faintest idea in terms of looking after the countryside, and they might not be necessarily well equipped in terms of contributing in an agricultural sense. And indeed, their plans for that land might not even be agricultural at all.
Is it helpful, though, to have names like Jeremy Clarkson? I think Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber was also at the protest as well. Incredibly wealthy gentlemen who are probably not particularly affected by these rules that are being put in place. Is it helpful to have those kind of voices involved in this debate?
Well, I don't think it's going to touch the sides with them, OK? They don't have to worry too much about it. But I do think you need to have some important figures at the forefront of things like that, because it just makes people listen more and it makes people pay attention, which I just think is so important with something like this.
Do you see someone like Jeremy Clarkson becoming a politician? I mean, he's become a farmer already. Do you think we could see him go into politics?
He's good at it. Yeah. I think he'd be quite good.
I think
we're living in an era where you have celebrities who might entertain the possibility of entering politics. And I think with Jeremy Clarkson, I think one thing that really benefits him, he has a certain authenticity, a straight-talking quality that many so-called establishment politicians, they don't necessarily possess those traits.